Should all acquaintance be forgot? Auld Lang Syne 2025, the New Year's song, Cozy's favorite Christmas song, and Respawning Fire's back. Welcome everyone to Respawning Fire 2025 edition. This is episode 380 of your favorite kick-ass irreverent gaming podcast, brought to you by Affable Idiots. I'm one of your hostos, which is the male-gendered form of host in most Spanish languages, hostos. I'm one of those. I'm Chad
Citation
Michael.
needed.
Citation as in like defining, but also citation as in like get a ticket, go to court, pay your fine. Citation.
Yeah, go directly to jail.
I'm
Do not
Chad
collect
Michael,
200.
gonna go to jail, but I'm also taking the money in us. That
Nope,
lovely voice
illegal.
you just heard was our other host, which we've only just recently started letting him be called host, Alex, the frickin' cops, Cozina. How are you,
you
Alex?
could just say, I was going to say, if ever in the future you're uncertain how to introduce me, you can just say Alexander Cozy Bear Kazina, because that's how I introduce myself on most of these podcasts. But yes, thank you very much, Chad. It's good to be here in the year of our Lord 2025. Our prime minister just resigned, among other things today. But we don't have to focus too much on those current events. It's good to be back.
Well, in similar news, our president-elect just got ratified, or not ratified, whatever you call it, whenever they're like, yeah, the votes are real. So,
oh man,
we're on opposite things. You lost a leader, we gained something.
If your president goes to war, does it become a rat war?
I don't. Oh, you're still unratified. Got it. Yeah, sure. Yes. Yeah.
That was my favorite comedy button bit. It's like, what? Unscramble the movie scramble. Rats Wars. It's Star Wars. There we go.
I like that. I'm going to steal that for a GOGS one day.
There are two people right now in the audience that will appreciate that joke. You can go on.
Adam Gumbert's one of them. Another one of our co-hosts here wearing a Colts hat, a Colts shirt, and a Colts heart. How are you, Adam?
Hey, Colts are awful. Get ready for next year. I have noticed, guys, we got to log in to our account from a new device. Was this you, San Jose, California? Was this me? Do I need to pay attention to this?
Was that for our Twitter account?
I think so,
yes.
I'm getting
I saw
a
that
message.
as well. That's Chad.
Should I be concerned?
That's me. Me. We're good.
That depends on how you feel about Chad.
So it's not a San Jose Gigante signing into our account illegally? That's a joke for the visual people.
But not even for the visual people, because he's not on the screen, but he's behind the scenes. We got San Jose Gigante, Joel Campos wearing a great hat y'all can't see. It is a churro. Or as they call it in Spanish, a gigante. Because churro is a purely American English word.
I gotta experiment with making my own churros at some point. I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
Dude, next time that we're all at a PAX together and you're in your cooking mood, make some churros and I will eat that shit up.
Like the next PAX, obviously I'm looking forward to, seeing all sorts of cool video games, connecting with our peers, all that stuff's great. But like, I'm just so excited to share some of the cooking projects that I've been working on over the past several months. That's going to be great. We need to get a good
freeze dry the RAF cake that you made, because
it's probably going to be good
there's
transition.
A RAF
Go for
cake
it.
that Cozy baked as part of our Patreon exclusive early access special episode for the month of January. If you are a patron over at patreon.com/respawningfire, you get cool stuff early, like Cozy's final Cozy Bear cooking send-off / our patron stuff. He bakes a cake. It's a RAF cake. So you can go catch that if you're a patron over at patreon.com/respawningfire. You are also able to influence what we play through something called BARF, which is our backlog accomplishment with Respawn and Friends every single month. You all have chosen, we have a poll that goes over on Patreon, and you all have chosen for the month of January, Celeste 64, Fragment of the Mountain.
If you missed this, Paul, we apologize, but you should be faster in the upkeep. That's entirely on you, not on us. I'm joking. But yeah, we decided, you know what? We have a week here before we start up the podcast again. Let's do a quickie little poll to see what should be our first game of January. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to give you the choice between 4 games that all have released in the month of January in years past and are all very short, quick, and to the point experiences. And so I asked you to choose between Pony Island, the original from the creator of Inscription, Pizza Tower, Turnip Boy Robs a Bank, and Celeste 64 Fragments of the Mountain, and you unanimously chose to vote for Celeste 64 Fragments of the Mountain. This is a game available, I believe, exclusively on PC, at least right now. So yeah, definitely go check it out. Write in your thoughts to the show if you have strong thoughts on this game, because we will be doing a Barf review episode of it at the end of the month.
Let me just say, I'm very proud of you, Alex, for growing as a human being and putting together 4 non-shit contestants for the Barf Poll. And I'm also proud of our audience for growing.
We don't know about that Turnip Boy game. I don't know how that one would have turned out.
That's the thing. I'm proud of our audience for not going for the meme pick and actually going for the quality one with Celeste 64, or what I assume is quality because Celeste itself was quality. So we'll see. If you are a person who does not support us on patreon.com/respawnnameFire, but you still want to see what funny things we do for those people, once a month, you get the old shit. And the old shit is Monster Hunter movie commentary. So yes, all 4 of us sat on our asses and watched the Monster Hunter movie and talked through it. And so you can also watch the Monster Hunter movie and listen to us talk through it. And you can talk back at us. We won't respond to you, but you can talk back at us and talk about Ninja Turtle games and all that kind of stuff. TLDR, in case you don't want to watch the whole thing, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle game does not have crossplay, and it only has 2-player online right now, but it will have up to 5-player eventually. But it does have cross-generation play, so if you have PS4 and PS5, you can do that.
You're talking about Power Rangers, not TMNT.
Yes, sorry, Power Rangers Rita's Rewind is what I meant. Which is
that was the one.
Largely what we talked about during the Monster Hunter movie. So go watch that on YouTube and podcast services. And then also, finally, the last little bit of housekeeping. Cherish it, because this is all the structured content we have for you right now is housekeeping. We have our Game of the Year episode. We did it differently this year than we have in years past, where we actually had a panel of people that included Jerica Hanna from JK Games Podcast, Brian Bridges from Time to Die Podcast, and Chris Waterman from I can't remember. Who knows what Chris is from? There's Joel. Joel, the sound is on BT Dubs. Yeah. Nice. So, yes,
I was like, is Joel talking over chat right now? What's going on?
So Chris is there. Brian brought all of his wonderful musical instruments and used them in just the right places. And there are all sorts of surprises in there for all of us, which is, I think, a fun way to do Game of the Year. So I enjoyed it. I had a fun time doing it. Everyone else had a good time, it looked like.
Chad was a cyborg.
I was a cyborg.
This one was a labor of love. It was a lot of work, and I think the results speak for themselves. You know, will we do a Game of the Year episode exactly like this at the end of 2025? Will we do something slightly different? I don't know, but I know that we made something really special with this one. So check it out if you haven't so far. Most other podcasts are doing their Game of the Year like podcast for 2024 around this time. A lot of people tend to do it like at the beginning, middle of January. So if you're missing out on our own, I was going to say, we did it a month before everyone else. We were ahead of the curve, and now it's up to you to watch it.
Yeah, it's January 6th now. I don't care anything about what came out last year anymore. Game of the Year, I don't fucking care. Tell me about GTA 6, baby. Just kidding, I don't care about that either. But moving on for the rest of our podcast, we got Playtime and just like a couple segments from Adams and Cozy's Question of the Week, because we don't have any quests this week. Everyone's on vacation. The world was on vacation. No news. Unless you count the 400,000 Switch 2 leaks that have been coming out. Dear God, please announce that full thing anytime soon, Switch. So we're going to go into Playtime, talk about Playtime, where we played this week. And Playtime, play. Adam, let's start with you because you have some interesting glyphs of capital and lowercase nature, along with numeric glyphs as well on your list.
Yeah, I did the weird glyphs so I wouldn't forget. So again, we've been on break for like 3 weeks. Done some fun stuff. I'll start with the game. What was that, Cozy?
I didn't say anything. No,
I thought you were going to
didn't
talk.
say
I think you
anything.
guys. I need to refresh. You guys are slightly on a delay for me. Number one, more Rivals. Played a lot of Rivals. Joel, new season comes out January 10th. We got to get on
Friday,
it.
baby!
Four going to
Fantastic
be in the
Four.
game. Fantastic Four fighting Dracula. That'll be a good time. It's me, Dracula. You know him, that guy. He's a bad guy.
Oh man.
But I completed that season pass and had a good time. Continue to play that game. Next up is I 100%ed. That's why that's here. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. I went through and found the secret ending. Enjoyed myself. Really strong with the whip, killing some guys. Good time. That little secret ending is a fun thing. Next up,
Wow.
a game I get. What was that, Cozy?
Sorry. No, this is actually a legitimate question. This is not me making fun of anything in the list, but like legitimately talking about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Every single time Game of the Year comes around, a question is, will the Game Awards show any love for these games that, released during that very brief interstitial period at the end of the year where games released in said year weren't eligible for that year's award show. So games like Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Do you think, with a lot of people playing this game over the break and this game, soon to release on PlayStation consoles, that this game might have legs in that regard, that come Game of the Year awards time at the end of the year, people might be like, well, it's within the rules that we can technically elect anything that we want to elect, we can Among Us this one. Do you think that people are going to cast their vote in favor of this game?
I don't know. The game is good. I don't know if anyone's going to be thinking about that at that time, even though technically it's within the rule. Because, there's been many times when things are technically within the rules, but they don't ever win anything. So it doesn't really seem to actually matter at all. That it's like, oh, it was a good game in December, but like maybe it'll get nominated. It will not win. Like Smash Brothers did not win. What was the big ones? Star Wars Jedi, the first one. Fallen Order did not win.
Yeah.
It's just
I think this one
these
has,
were great
like,
games, but they pushed,
The
it's been a year.
PS5 release might give it an extra little nudge.
Maybe. That's what I'm saying. Maybe a PS5
yeah.
will give it a little bump. But even games that release in January don't get love. Like Hitman 3 didn't fucking get any love. And everyone's like, this game's great, but it came out in January, so they weren't thinking about it anymore.
You guys also have to think about the games coming out this year, right?
Yeah,
GTA 6
that as
potentially coming. Ghost of Yotei coming. Switch 2, who knows what could be coming with that.
Speaking of Ghost of
That's true.
Yotei, here's a quick item for our quest log. Warrior64 just tweeted Ghost of Tsushima is getting an anime.
Ooh.
There you go. Cool.
Are there any
Cool.
screenshots from this? Let me check it out.
So I will say, to
let's
answer
check
Cozy's
his
question,
tweet.
check it out. Maybe it'll get like an action game nom or something like that. But I don't think it's going to win. No, those games don't normally win. But I did 100%. It was fun.
It is 100% on my docket. When it releases on PlayStation, I am going all in on this game because I love myself an Uncharted, a action adventure game in that vein. And yeah, this game looks great.
That's cool.
I started it yesterday.
Oh, go ahead, Joel.
Sorry, I started Indiana Jones yesterday because I saw Adam was playing it, and I was like, oh yeah, I downloaded that. I'll give it a shot. And I played it for like 6 hours straight, and I'm just like doing everything I possibly can. I don't know why. It doesn't seem like a game that I would like, but I'm all in on it. I think it's a ton of fun.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it is not an Uncharted at all. It is nothing like Uncharted, but I was like, I don't know, but I fuck with this. And I 100%ed it. I normally don't 100% stuff.
To be clear, I also really...
I played it for like 3 hours on Sunday.
Oh.
And it is not Uncharted.
No.
It is a game that I really want to see to the end, but a game I don't want to play to the end. I think fucking Troy Baker is fantastic in that game. But yeah, I'll probably watch a YouTube recap. Just the gameplay just doesn't jive with me. But I also, Hitman and Dishonored were not my kind of thing either. So I didn't expect that going in. But a very quality game for Machine Games.
I apologize that we've been interrupting so much. I do want to say real quick, even knowing that it's not exactly like Uncharted, I've loved games like Deathloop in the past. So I suspect I'll probably end up loving it all the same, even if it's not exactly what I suspect. That's my premonition on this one.
Cool. Anything else? Anybody else want to interrupt me before I talk about the next video game?
I am...
Joel, do you want to jump
up.
back in with your churro hat, or... I don't think Joel can even hear me. I'm giving him a hard time. Next up, I got a game. I played this game at PAX West. I talked about it. I played it at the Mix. And then shout out to... Andrew Cogswell and Vicarious PR for sending me a code for review. On Your Tail, I played a little bit of that over the break. That was the game, if you remember, that was sort of like you're in an Italian town. It's very anthropomorphic animal cartoon thing, but you're solving crimes along the way with like pieces on a chessboard that you collect. I talked about it in the PAX Waste episode. A couple hours into that, having a good time. I really enjoy the crime solving aspect of the game. Because again, so what you'll do is you'll go and you'll collect these little cards, which will end up being clues and stuff. And you'll be like, okay, it's just like a board game. All right, I've never played Clue, but I'm assuming it's like, all right, here's the pipe in the living room, and I put the cards together and figure out who did it. And that's what the game does, is you're solving this string of robberies that happened in the town. And the rest of the game is a cozy type game where it's like, oh, I'm in this Italian seaside, and I'm meeting friends, and I'm fishing, and I'm swimming out in the ocean. And yeah, because you'd love it. So I don't love that. I normally don't play those kind of games. Like Animal Crossing was not for me. I played a week of that and never touched it again. So all of that, I'm sure, is very good and very fine. That's not a game I normally like. I'm in it for the detective stuff, and I quite enjoy the detective stuff. I'm only about 3 or 4 hours into that one. But the game, the reason that people play this game is probably not the reason I'm going to play it. Because I don't care about hanging out with this bunny man and becoming his best friend. It's fun to go get a coffee with the bunny man, but that's fine. I'm just like, I'm here to figure out the mystery. So I've enjoyed that part of the game, and I will continue to play it. I'm only, again, like 3 or 4 hours in. I'm past what I did in the demo at PAX West, but that was cool, and thank those guys for sending me over a code. Now we're going to move on to things that aren't video games that I did over the break. That's why I put these extra lower cases, because I would completely forget. I almost forgot the second one a second. First one, everybody, it's a new dawn. The hierarchy of power is about to change forever. James Gunn has taken over the DC universe. He said that other shit, not canon. Unless I say it's canon, then it actually is canon. But the first official thing from the new DC universe is Creature Commandos, which the last episode will come out this Thursday. Super fucking good. I don't know what to tell you. I was like, James Gunn making an animated show about characters you've never heard of that are basically doing the Suicide Squad thing. But I'm like, I don't know. These guys are fucking great. Fucking Bride of Frankenstein. I don't know who this voice actor is. She's fucking fantastic. So yeah, no. So not surprising to me, because I'm just a fan of James Gunn in general. But I am super into Creature Commandos. Last episode comes out this week, I believe. That's been a ton of fun. And it shows you what is canon to this new universe, and then Superman comes out this summer, which I'm actually excited for once. I saw
a screenshot of the silhouette of the Batman for this universe.
He was in the last episode.
Yeah,
he showed up. Yeah. Just for half a second. But that also made me go back and watch all of Harley Quinn, because I was only on season 2, and there's 4 seasons, and that show's also fucking fantastic. Holy shit. The animated Harley Quinn? I don't know. I think it's just its own thing, because it has like the old intro and everything. But it's really good. It's very good. But all of that led me to say, hey, why don't I watch something that's video game related? I watched Secret Level. I think someone else has it on their list as well. And you're like, yeah, that's good. So I never watched Robots Have Sex and Die, or whatever that Netflix anthology show is. But I could probably see why people like that show, because this Secret Level is super cool. The idea is they took a bunch of video game IPs and they just did a 10-minute episode per each. Blur Studio produced most of those, so they look gorgeous. And that is a super fun series. There's like, let's see, I'm looking at it now. There are 15 episodes, so you can get through it all in an afternoon. And
I was so stoked on the show, and it made me like actually want to play Warhammer. The Warhammer
episode is so good.
Ooh,
holy shit.
Yes.
It might be the best episode in the thing. So yeah, there's 15 episodes. I would say 80% are excellent, and the other ones are like, okay, these are fine, but it's 10 minutes, so it doesn't matter. What are we doing timeouts for? What is this?
I'm doing the timeout symbol because I want to interrupt you, but I don't want to do it rudely like we were doing before.
I'm just talking about how good Secret Level is.
Of course, Chad was being way more rude than I was being rude, but
absolutely.
We can debate that later.
Absolutely.
I was contributing to the conversation.
So it seems like the reason why the Ghost of Tsushima announcement happened just a few minutes earlier is because Sony's currently having their big CES presentation. One of the things that they also just announced from their CES presentation is that Helldivers 2 is getting a movie coming at some point soon.
Oh,
so
shit.
That's exciting.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's ever been a
continue
movie
to-
like Helldivers at all.
I was gonna say,
Starship-
is it going to be called Helldivers 2 or is it going to be called Starship
Yeah.
Troopers 2?
Starship Troopers 5 or
towards
whatever.
a star.
That's fun. But I would say, Secret Level is good. I know Sony lent some of their IP to it, but that series is super cool. And especially
that
the games
Sony
you
episode,
wouldn't
though,
think.
was dumb
My
as
least
shit.
favorite. That was the worst one.
It was
Absolutely.
so
The
dumb.
actual Sony one was stupid as hell.
So were they all like time traveling? I've
no,
not seen
it's-
Secret Level yet.
It's
No?
lame. It's the last episode of the series, the one where we're like, oh, Kratos is in a real city. No, that episode is boring. It's just like, I got a PlayStation, and all my good memories of my life are because of PlayStation. Here's 5 characters from the games that show up, and it's like, okay, it's the worst one. But everything else is like for some. Again, the Concord episode I think is fine, but it's like, oh, this is an interesting thing. But no, they do good. They're especially Chad. What was it? I think it's Honor of Kings, where the guy plays the game against the AI. The one where he's like trying to take control of the city.
Yeah. Yep.
I really like that episode, and it's like a MOBA from like fucking Korea that no one's ever heard of. I'm like, this
Yeah,
episode's
I was like,
good.
I don't know what they're like. They put the name of it on the screen. I was like, is that a game? And I was like, I don't fucking know. And then they're playing that old fucking, what is it, a Chinese black and white
Stone game or whatever. Yeah,
I was like, I don't know what this fucking, what is this supposed to represent? And cool. It was a cool episode, but I'm not gonna play that game, whatever it is.
yeah. I will say Pac-Man is to stand out just for how weird and fucked up that one is. And then the Warhammer one is very, very good. I also like Armored Core Cascanos.
Armored Core was good. Yep. Mega Man, I was like, the Mega Man was like 3 minutes.
Very
or something.
short,
It felt
yeah.
super short.
But this
But
is
I
a cool
want- I
beginning
want
of a
more of
series.
that. I know, right?
Was
Spelunky was fun,
Aloy
but yeah, good shit.
and Horizon Zero Dawn represented in the series at all?
Nope.
No.
Well, you might be excited to
Here
learn
we
that
go.
Sony just announced literally moments ago that a Horizon Zero Dawn film is officially in the works. So not a TV show, which we've known about for a while and may or may not be coming, but a actual film is coming apparently.
Interesting.
And-
Netflix
Ooh,
didn't
that's
work out.
what season 2 in
Wednesday.
April.
Season 2.
Oh, you guys are just getting
April.
stuff live.
Hell
April?
yeah.
Makes sense. But that's all I played, so we can continue with whatever else. But yeah.
Dope. We've talked about almost everything on my list, so I'll just finish mine out and then we'll go to Cozy MR. Oh yeah, more Marvel Rivals. My
Cozy.
nieces and nephews are hooked on that shit. And
Sounds
we
like
have
cool kids.
a text message thread. Yeah, we have a text message thread with the 4 of us now. And the way that they don't do Discord or anything like that, because they're like 8. So they just FaceTime audio call each other while they play, which is like, it works, but also like a trash way to do things. So yeah, we
I
just
know
have a
people
text
do it,
message
but I
thread, and
hate
there's
it so much.
constantly a FaceTime audio time like call going on. It's like, join this call. But it's fun, and they're actually honestly good. Like my little 8-year-old nephew playing freaking Jeff the Shark is super good with him. My niece is like super good with Moon Knight. I started experimenting with Venom. I'm getting okay with Venom. Having fun with it. Having fun with them. Just children literally nonstop screaming. Oh my god! Ah, I can't heal you. Somebody. It's so fun. So funny. Marvel Rivals. What is SOS? Oh, Sea of Stars. I decided. I was listening to the JK Games podcast. Spoiler review of
Arcane?
Arcane, yes. And just in that, they said the words Sea of Stars somewhere in that. And I was like, oh, let me go play Sea of Stars again. And I'm working on my final trophy, which is to beat 10 bosses with that one relic that makes it really, really just super duper hard. Turns out it's not really, really super duper hard.
Yeah.
Especially if you do the first 5 bosses of the game, because they don't scale in difficulty on New Game Plus. So they're just like 1 or 2 hits and they're dead. And then I found a cool thing online where you can do the first 5 bosses of the game, which is maybe about 2.5 hours. And then you can just make another New Game Plus from that save file, and it will save those 5, and you can just do those first 5 again. So I'll have that platinum trophy within the next couple of days. Faux show.
I was going to say that is literally how I got the platinum trophy as well. Because I'm like, as much as I enjoyed my time with this game, I don't have time to like go through the whole rigmarole for the next 20 hours.
Yep. GWT Gears of War 3. It's done. Gears of War 3 is complete.
It only took you 7 months.
Only took us so long. We beat it. I enjoyed Gears of War 3, I think, more than I enjoyed Gears of War 2. Because Gears of War 2, again, was just like, here are a bunch of different on-rails shooting segments from a bunch of different types of vehicles. And I was just not fun to control. But Gears of War 3 had some rough spots in there. I didn't really understand what we were doing at all times, and it's mostly just move from arena to arena to arena to kill. But it was still it was fun to play with the boys. But I'm glad it's done because, according to a text message from Joel a few minutes ago, Gears Wednesdays might become Gears of Suicide Squad Complete Justice League this Wednesday because it's free on PlayStation Plus.
Okay.
Yeah.
You enjoy
Matt
your 10
just
hours.
got that platinum trophy in that game, and we are. He's gonna dive right back in with us, maybe.
All I want out of Suicide Squad is for Matt just to get us through the story as fast as possible, just so we could say we played it.
Yeah, the story's fine.
Same.
You'll have an okay time with the story with friends. After that, I would delete it from your hard drive forever.
That's it. Everything else was secret level Indiana Jones, Marvel Rivals. So, Cozy, you've written all of yours out in their proper Christian names.
Yes, I did. So real quick, though, before I talk about some of the video games that I played over break, I made a very big announcement on Blue Sky, which is that starting this year in 2025, I'm going to be brushing up on my video game skills to develop my own video games again, and eventually found my own independent video game studio, which, to be clear, will initially be like a sole proprietorship kind of deal. It's just going to be me working on things until I reach that inevitable threshold where I'm like, all right, I need to bring on more people to help me with some of these projects. I've gone over a lot of this stuff over the course of the past few months, but basically, long story short, over the course of the past few months, I was like, I feel like these cooking streams aren't really paying dividends. I put a lot of work into them, but I'm not seeing much growth. I enjoy cooking, but I honestly enjoy cooking more than I enjoy cooking on stream. And so I decided, you know what? It's time for a change. I've always wanted to get back into video game development. It's been quite some years since I last developed my own little video games. During the era of KFAF, I actually made a bunch of like small little games every now and then because they do like a Photoshop challenge on that show where you would send in like a Photoshop challenge of some theme. And a couple of times I straight up sent in games that I made in like the span of a week. And then shortly after that, Kind of Funny had a collaboration with Core, which was like a video game development engine / game that you could create your own games from. And I made a couple of games for like a project that the company hosted alongside Core. But I've not worked on a game since 2022. And I had a kind of breaking point recently where I was like, I don't want to go my entire life not having, lived up to my dreams of being able to do this stuff. And so 2025, I'm going to be going full bore into making the video games. I implore everyone, as I did on Blue Sky, to please be patient with this stuff. It will take quite some time until I have something to share from all of this. I've had a lot of people ask me, hey, can you share with us at all what it is that you're currently developing? And I'm very flattered that people want to know what I'm interested in making. But, I want to avoid something that even studios much bigger, wiser, and more weathered than I have fallen prey to, which is announcing too many things that you can't deliver on before they're properly ready. And so you will hear about what it is that I have in mind, what I have in mind in my noggin when I feel very confident in them and I'm ready to show them. And so, yeah, you can look forward to that stuff. Of course, I will still be doing Respawning Fire, helping out with the This Thing Rules podcast as well in my spare time. You can think of my video game development ambitions as being akin to my day job, and this as being what I moonlight as. And so, yeah, that's a lot of fun. But of course, over the course of the
Toilet Toads 2.
We're
gonna get review codes.
There's definitely a few. There's definitely a few references that I'm probably going to want to insert in there. Okay. We got to have a door, an exploding door, because of the comedy button. Toilet Toads, maybe there will be something. I don't know. I mean, nobody owns the trademark on that, so yeah, I guess we can probably do something.
Comp Jump 3.
Comp Jump 3. Yeah, that one.
There
they
probably
might
is a
have
trademark on that, so you'll have to do just straight up
Just
cum
make
jump.
Cum Jump then. CUM Jump.
Or just cum jump.
CP the game.
I don't know.
CP the game.
That sounds like a one-way shop to getting an AO rating. So outside of that, though, I did have a few opportunities to play a few games over the break. Game number one that I played was Hades 1. So deal with this one is we had Brian, Manly Brian, aka Brian Bridges, on our Game of the Year episode, and one of the games in his top 10 for that year was Hades 1. And after that episode, we all kind of yucked up his list because it contained some unusual and unorthodox games. But I was like, you know what? I really respect that. I really respect being like, I've never played Hades 1. I know Hades 2 is a hotness right now, but I'm going to go back and play Hades 1 because I never played it before. And I'm like, you know what? I should do that too because I want to play Hades 1 as well before I get to Hades 2. And my time with this game was interesting because I really enjoyed my time with it. But my enjoyment with it also kind of came to a bit of an abrupt end. This is a game, I actually purchased this game quite a few years ago, and there were multiple instances where I logged a few hours into it, seeing if I could get into it. Didn't really stick with me right away. I knew that I just needed to stick with this game long enough for me to wrap my head around its combat system and fully have it ingratiate itself to me. And this time around, things finally stuck. I got into this game, had a great time. I really don't have much to say about this game that hasn't already been said to death online. The combat system is a lot of fun. It's not exactly my favorite ever in a roguelike game like this. It was a little button mashy at times, but enjoyed it well enough. Art style, like so many other supermassive games, Super Giant. I get those two confused in my head a lot. Super Giant. Incredible, beautiful. Characters are all really endearing and expertly voice acted. The story may not be the most complex thing ever, but the way in which said story is told, the game's narrative design, as it were, where, the game drip feeds you little pieces of information and dialogue and whatnot on an incremental basis every time you complete a run or attempt to complete a run is really great. And I mean, just the sheer number of unique lines and bits of information every time you complete the game is really impressive. I never encountered any repeats during my time with the game. I was having a really excellent time with the game with all that stuff I just described, and I finally managed to complete an escape run from Hades, finally met spoilers for the first time on the surface, and then I returned to Hades. I was excited to complete more runs, and then I looked up online what I got to do to get the game's true endings, and I kind of got very quickly discouraged because basically, long story short, if you've never played the original Hades before, you got to complete 9 more runs, 9 more escapes out of hell to get the true ending. And then you also got to forge complete bonds with all of the various Olympic gods to get another additional epilogue ending after that, which means giving them a ton of different gifts over the course of your runs. And I was like, as much as I've enjoyed my time with this game, I don't know that I want to spend that much more time with it. I posted this on Twitter kind of shortly after I kind of walked away from the game, but Hades 1 really got lauded at the time of its release for its God mode, which makes it so that the game gets progressively easier and easier every time you die in it. And with this game, I was like, you know what? I honestly would have loved it if it also had something akin to and I know some people say this is blasphemous because they really love just how many hours they're able to log in this game and how much new content it reveals itself to have over time. But if it added something almost akin to a truncated story mode where I can complete the story as is, but maybe I only need to reach the surface 4 more times instead of a total of 9, or the Olympic gods only needing 5 gifts instead of 10. Again, I know some people appreciated just how long this game's legs were, but I was kind of hoping that I could have been able to 100% it in, a little bit less time that was asked of me. All that said, still very much looking forward to Hades 2. I would say that, if anything, the fact that I only played a relatively limited amount of Hades 1, I think has whetted my appetite better for Hades 2, because it means that I'm now going into Hades 2, not overly tired of my time with the original game. That said, I do hope that Hades 2's combat system either sticks with me so much more that I'm incentivized to play the game just over and over and over again in the way that I wasn't with this one, or perhaps reaching certain narrative milestones in the game don't need to take as long to complete. But I have not played Hades 2 at all, so that'll be something that I'll have to see when I eventually get around to that game some point next year. Oh man, so after I completed Hades 1, I was like, what do I want to play next? Because, this is sort of like a dead zone where it doesn't really matter what you play at this point. It's a good opportunity to brush up on things that you didn't previously get around to during the previous 12 months. And I was like, you know what? You know what I should play? 3D Game Heroes, which, if you remember, I purchased at what I found to be a very reasonable price at Fan Expo Toronto earlier in 2024. Normally this game goes for like over 100 Canadian dollars, and I got it for 70, which I thought was reasonable for kind of a weird, rare-ish PS3 only game. This is, as you're seeing right now on screen, it's basically a top-down action game, very heavily influenced by the original NES Legend of Zelda, both a 3D voxely art style, released exclusively on the PlayStation 3 in late 2009, came stateside in 2010. It was developed by Silicon Studio, which outside of this game is most well known for the Bravely Default series of JRPGs. And it was also, fun fact, published, at least in Japan, by From Software, which will be important later. I'll get back to that in a moment. This game was actually, it has sort of a fun development story. Apparently it was developed in just 10 months by the team, and it was basically used as like a way to showcase Silicon Studios' middleware technology, and basically to show like, yo, look at how powerful our technology is, and we can develop a game of this level of quality in this amount of time. This is a game I felt very conflicted on. Has a lot of charm. 3D voxel art style is great, and it's great that the game allows you to kind of create your own character. When you first boot the game up, before you even get to make your own character, there are like so many interesting and fun characters that are pre-included in the game, including a bunch that I'm pretty sure were part of some contests years and years ago from fans around the globe. There's some fun ways that it kind of subverts the way that the OG Zelda worked. Like, for example, when you swing your sword straight out in front of you, you do it like you do in the OG Zelda, but in this game, your sword is gigantic, and you can acquire upgrades and abilities to make your sword even more gigantic and have special abilities like laser beams, to the point that you can have a sword that literally occupies the entire screen because of how big it is and can instantly obliterate anything in front of it. There are a lot of cool and nifty things like that. Where I think that the game goes a little bit wrong is that it's at times just a little too laser focused on trying to emulate the original Legend of Zelda's gameplay without many of the modern amenities that we tend to like from a lot of the modern Zelda games. But also, it does that while also kind of missing out on a key component of what made the original Legend of Zelda special. So, on one hand, this game has things like, it gives you like a lot of items that don't have an obvious explanation of how they work, and or they only work in very specific circumstances instead of working in many different circumstances and having many different applications, like how you might expect out of a modern game. Puzzles are extremely basic. A lot of the dungeons seem more puzzly at first than you might think, but then inevitably devolve into basically a gauntlet where the only challenge is, let's see how fast and how many rooms you can get through in a row before you die. There are lots of obtuse directions and explanations of where you're supposed to go to next, who you're supposed to talk to. A lot of the NPCs lack personality, lack character, not particularly memorable. The game is like, when I reflect back on it, very reminiscent of Axiom Verge in a way, where we played Axiom Verge, not too long ago. And like, that game was really, really dutiful in terms of its attempt to kind of evoke the overall feel and gameplay of the original Metroid on the NES. But in the case of that game, it's like Metroidvania style games have evolved so much since the era of Metroid 1 for the NES. And like, you just want a little bit more out of it. And it's a very similar thing with this game. But the thing about this game is, like, I would be forgiving of a lot of these like old-fashioned aspects of it were it not for the fact that this game, unlike the original OG Zelda, is very, very linear. Like, you basically can't complete dungeons out of order. And this is an issue kind of for two reasons. One, because it's linear, inevitably the game forces you down these choke points where you have to complete a certain difficult section or dungeon, or something or other, and you want to farm like additional heart pieces or items around the map to make those sections easier, but you can't because the game is linear and you have to complete things in a certain order. And two, like contextually, and this is less so a critique of the game, but just more sort of like a weird kind of observation I had after beating it. Like, this is a game, when it released in 2010, there were a lot of people that really loved this game. And this game kind of came out at like just a weird time for the Zelda series, where Twilight Princess was like the last mainline game to be released at this point. And this was sort of at the height of people not loving it. People were like, man, Twilight Princess, we're finding these Zelda games to become overly slow plotting and overly linear. The things that, seemed cool that we accepted as necessary evils when Ocarina of Time first hit the market now feel like they're starting to kind of hold the series back. And, these critiques only become more exacerbated when Skyward Sword released a couple of years later. And I remember there being just like a groundswell of nostalgic longing at that point for the OG Zelda, because if there was any reason to go back to the original Zelda over all the other Zeldas at the time, it was that it offered the most open-ended experience of all of them, being able to complete its dungeons out of order. And so all that to say, I realize this has been a bit of a tangent. It's just weird to me that people crowded around 3D Dot Game Heroes, that it proved as popular as it did back in the day, when I feel like it didn't meaningfully address the critiques that people had of modern Zelda at the time, of the series being overly linear, of the games being like overly narrow in terms of their scope. And if anything, kind of suffered from a lot of the same issues. It didn't deliver upon like the one thing that I think made the, original Zelda game that released in 1987 really kind of unique and worthwhile of an experience, despite, again, trying to kind of so faithfully pay tribute to it. That was a long ass tangent. I do want to just briefly touch on the last game. After completing 3D Dot Game Heroes, I was like, you know what? A lot of people online are saying these Gears of War games, they've had an interesting release cadence over the past decade. Gears of War 4 was announced at E3 2015, released in 2016. Gears of War 5 was announced at E3 2018 and released in 2019. And a lot of people are saying, well, look, Gears of War E-Day, it was announced at Summer Games Fest 2024. And so it stands to reason Not Impossible might come out this year. Officially, on the record, the Coalition, Microsoft did not formally announce when this game is coming out. There's reason to believe it might only come out in 2026 or who knows, even later. But I'd like to believe it's very possible that it could come out at the end of this year. And for that reason, I decided, you know what? It's time to break my Gears of War virginity. It's time. Whoa. What the heck was that?
Atreus barking at someone at the door.
Wow. That was... I didn't know that Atreus had it in them. I decided to check out Gears of War 1 Definitive Edition. And here's the thing. Only a couple of chapters into this game. Need to log more time into it. I understand why the industry collectively, after a few years, kind of got tired of this kind of game. What with it having, it's like ultra macho, grotesque cast of characters. It's like super desaturated brown and gray color palette. The cover shooter of it all, which so many games during that generation kind of remade themselves into because of games like Gears of War. And yet, all that said, I'm honestly having a lot of fun with this game. There is just something so entertaining on a primal level about playing as basically gods on Earth blitz through monsters while the voice of Bender from Futurama spouts just like weirdly, needlessly grimdark one-liners.
Oh, come
like,
on.
You don't need to be that dark, man. Come on. I'm having a lot of fun with this game. I don't see myself falling so love that I could see myself playing this game over and over on higher difficulties, as I know is very popular amongst fans of the series. This game, I am playing the definitive edition of the game. The control setup isn't overly dated, but you do miss out on some of the modern quality of life things that you wish that a modern cover shooter had. But I am excited to keep playing and see the series through its completion. I'm curious, Chad, are you guys going to be playing after you deal with your Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice Leagues, Wednesdays, whatever it's called? Are you going to do Judgment next, or are you going to do 4 next?
I don't know. Joel's trying to steer us away from Judgment.
But I'm personally just not a fan of Judgment. It's
I feel
a
like
prequel, and it's kind of just like an offshoot. It's not. I don't think it's necessary to play in terms of getting the story of Gears, but I'm fine doing whatever everybody else wants to do.
I'm not sure.
I also personally am just sick of playing 360 games.
Same, yeah. To find out the Gears 4 was still 360.
Judgment is still 360.
Judgment's still 360. I'm just like,
but
oh my
4
god.
is the first Xbox One game. Gears of War 2, whatever they do with the FPS boost and stuff on Xbox, that game ran great. It looked good. Gears 3 looked worse than Gears 2, in my opinion, on the Xbox Series X. So I don't know what's going on with that, but yeah, I'm ready to not be 2 generations behind in games every week.
I will continue to play these games at my pace, but eventually, when we reach the same point in the overall series, if you need another wingman to jump in and Gears of War it up, I will definitely be available for that stuff. So
I assure you, we are moving towards fewer people playing at the same time rather than more people, because trying to coordinate all 4 of us playing together was a nightmare. But we'll keep that in mind. All right,
that's that.
Joel, wrap us up with playtime. What you got?
Indiana Jones was about it. College football. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really play too much. I was out of town for like a solid week, visiting family in Vegas. And yeah, that was my my break.
What are these letters here? Is N Indiana?
This is from last time, I think.
That's from last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because the land thing, I remember the land thing from last time.
I was at a LAN party last time. Yeah, I haven't really played too much, so just played my same old usual games. I'm excited to play more Marvel Rivals, though.
Hell yeah.
I was listening to the episode you all did without me in December, which was all about Marvel Rivals, and it just, every time y'all said it, you said it so fast, it sounded like Marvel Rivals. It's just so fun to say Marvel Rivals, Marvel Rivals, Marvel Rivals.
I was going to say, you're going to turn into the Hamburglar.
That's what I was going for.
Moving on. Again, no quests. So we're moving now to something that looks like maybe it is scored, because Adam has put all 4 of our names in a bullet-pointed list here with some pretty precarious placement. He on top, me on bottom.
Here we go.
I'm very scared. So we're going to move now into our segment from Adam. Segment from Adam. That's the like Marvel Studios intro. Dun,
yeah.
Gun, 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 gun. Also, look at this shit.
It's just a letter.
It's a Buster Sword.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Buster Sword letter opener. It's fucking awesome.
Kind of letters
is it
you got.
sharp or is it?
Come over,
He's
find
putting
out.
some blade to his face.
Chop.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I'm still pretty concerned for you, Chad. You should be careful with that thing.
You can't tell me what to do.
Do
You're not my
what you
real
want,
dad.
baby
Okay.
boy. So what we're doing is, last year, not on purpose, but we did a bunch of things where we'll make predictions. Obviously, we have our yearly predictions. We'll have predictions for Game Award shows. We play Fantasy Critic. So I was going to take all of our longer sort of games engagements and turn them all into one thing that is scored. Joel joined us partway through the year, but he still actually scores on this thing pretty well. So anyways, I'm going to go through what we've done. The last thing that we did was Game Awards predictions. And Game Awards was a long time ago, so we're not going to talk about it too much or whatever. It's fine. People won, they lost, there's tears, whatever. It has good times. But
do you know who won and who? I can't remember if y'all talked about it.
I have figured out the scores for all of these. So we did Game Award predictions. I abstained because I won so well in the last 2 years. The devil said, "Hey, why don't you run it instead?" I'm like, "I got you, devil." Oh,
that's right. I also remember the devil fucking me in the predictions episode too, giving me some disadvantage and Joel getting an advantage and all this shit. I remember this now.
Chad, I would stop complaining until you heard the scores. Anyways, so this one we started with over under bets, which was like, betting. That's how it works. Astrobot wins were set at 3.5. Everybody said over. Astrobot had 4 wins at Game Awards, so good job, guys. You know how much people like Astrobot. Final Fantasy VII, I set the wins at 4.5, including best performance, but it still only got 1 win for the entire night, so everyone said under on that. Metaphor Fantasio wins, I said at 2.5. Only one of you said over because it got 3 wins for the night. Shout out to Joel, you got that one correct. You're the only one smart on Metaphor. VR announcements slash trailers. So I need you guys to help me. I did not watch Game Awards. Were there any VR announcements or trailers at Game Awards? I don't think that there were, but am I wrong?
Not that I could remember.
There was like definitely one, but the fact that we're struggling to remember means that I don't think we need to be dinged too hard for this category.
Yeah, it was set at 1.5, and I think it was 1 or less. So I think, Alex, you got points on that one. You're good.
Yeah.
Publisher wins outside of Asian countries. I was very specific because it was a lot of Game Science and Sony, and then when Chad would argue that Sony is not a Japanese company, which is an insane proposition.
In California, so
the Burger King has headquarters in Canada as a Canadian company. You know what I'm saying? No, it's an American company. No. It's not. Anyways, I set that at 8.5 for things that were outside of Asian publishers. There were 10 wins for things that weren't Asian publishers. So shocking with how many nominations were, basically Square Enix and fucking Sony, but somehow 10 of them went to non-Asian publishers. So everyone lost on that one. Guess a wild reveal. This is where we get fun now. Guess a wild reveal. Guys, pay attention. This one comes up again later. Alex did the Metroid Prime 4 famous voice actor bet. Maybe that also was another prediction he used earlier the year, which I thought was funny. That's why I laughed at the time, because you have it on here twice. That did not happen.
Here's the thing. I will continue to stump for Metroid Prime 4 in 2025. I'm not going to make any more predictions about it, because it's clear that Nintendo is content to march to the beat of their own drum with that game at this point, and I shouldn't presume to know what I think they're doing with it.
Don't worry, you weren't the only one to get it wrong. Joel said there'd be a new Xbox controller, which I do not believe happened. Chad said there would be a trailer for a new Nintendo movie. I do also not think that happened. We would know if there was a new Nintendo. Don't look up in the corner. It's not correct. Next up, we picked category winners. I'll just go ahead and say who got them correct. Alex got 1, 2, 3, 4 total correct, and he got his counter correct. Joel had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 correct. Joel did very good in the category picking thing. And then Chad got... See, Chad, even with me, quote unquote, screwing you over.
Yeah, Batman won, by the way, and that's the one the devil fucked me on. Win.
Yeah. You only have... You had 2. You had 2 correct in the whole category, guessing the winners won.
Yeah, that's the devil's fault.
Yeah, that's absolutely. He made you incorrectly guess all those other ones as well.
I don't know how he did it yet. I'm about to find out. But yeah, it's his fault somehow.
Yeah, poor thing. The total scores for the entire night for Game Awards. Chad, 4 correct answers. 4 points for Chad. Joel had 9 points correct. And Cozy had 7. Joel is the winner for Game Awards predictions.
Motherfucker.
And being so, he gets 3 points here. Cozy gets 2 points here. Chad gets 1 point here. See, we're going to tally them all together, boys. Next up, This one was the fun one. Well, actually, we'll do this one really quick. Fantasy Critic. We kind of went over it. Adam beat the shit out of everybody. Cozy did good a second.
Jones.
Indiana Jones fucking Chad because he thought it was going to be bad.
Jones. That's why I'm playing Indiana Jones this year, because Indiana Jones did me good.
Jonathan.
Indiana Jones ended up being, I'm pretty sure, like my second highest rated game of every game that I did that year.
Congratulations. Somehow. So the way this works, because I played Fantasy Critic, but Joel didn't. So I get 3 points for winning it. Joel gets 3 points for winning Game Awards. So everyone's on the list. The way it stands now is I have 3 total points for the year. Cozy has 4. Joel has 3. Chad has 2. Now we're getting to our actual predictions we did at the beginning of 2024. We said, here are 3 predictions that we're going to guess that are going to happen in gaming. Everyone got to do a counter if they thought it wasn't going to happen. Everyone got one agree if they thought it was going to happen. I'm sorry, Joel, you weren't included in this. It is what it is. Next, number 1, Cozy's first prediction. Metroid Prime 4 is finally announced. It's cross-gen, and they'll make a big deal. It was announced. Well, yeah, no, we'll get to it. I'll get to the scoring. Yeah. It was cross-gen. They'll make a big deal about it being voiced, and the voice will be on the level of Ashley Johnson and Laura Bailey. Again, him and this voice acting. I love it, Cozy, that you reused the same one. Man. I did give you 0.3 points because it was announced. It is not cross-gen that we know of, and there's nothing about the actor. So 1/3 of a point is what I thought would fair. Do you have anything to say about this thing you keep using over and over again?
No, I think all that's fair. I mean, it's honestly, when we got the announcement trailer for Metroid Prime 4 last year, I was surprised that they led with it as being a Switch game. I would have assumed if you had asked me at the beginning of 2024 that they were going to announce it as a Switch 2, Super Nintendo Switch, whatever it's going to be called game. And then in the fine print be like, oh yeah, and it's also coming to the original Switch as well. That part was unexpected. But yeah, we will see what happens with the voice acting game, but now I have my doubts.
Yeah, we'll see. Your next prediction, Sony will make one last PlayStation VR push, including, so specific to make it specific, Half-Life and Insomniac and at least one more big game in a state of play. Half-Life, Alex announced, brand new game from Insomniac. Chad countered this. PlayStation pretended PSVR didn't exist, basically. Chad countered it. Chad got a point for that. Cozy, they did not. You specifically said Half-Life and Insomniac. Those did not happen, so you do not get points for those. Last, go ahead.
No, I said, oh well.
Yeah, it happens.
It's one of those things where it's like I don't have any investment in PlayStation VR like I do Metroid. So the fact that they didn't do it, it's like, well, no sweat off my back. Who cares?
No shock there. Next, your last prediction. Starfield will receive some major updates and/or expansions, but by the end of 2024, it will still be disliked as it is now. So here's the thing where I gave you a half a point on this, because you said specifically on Steam, all reviews will be mixed. All recent reviews will be mostly negative. I checked Starfield about an hour ago. It's mixed overall and mixed recently.
Okay.
So if you're willing to give me that argument, I think that's fair, because you said specifically recent reviews and then overall reviews. So I think that's fair.
I will say I'm happy to receive the half a point. Part of me wants to go back and interview myself from a year ago, because I feel kind of bad just throwing shade Starfield's way, a game that I've never played, that I have, again, no real investment with. To be honest, Greg Miller has been really infectious, and seeing him talk so candidly about how much he's loved this game, it's made me not want to play this game, but at least sort of, not be tough, needlessly tough and mean on it in the way I was here. I don't really know. I wouldn't do a prediction like this year.
The fun thing is, I agreed with you because we were going off of Steam user reviews, and I'm like, oh, those fuckers are mean. So I agreed with you. So we both get half a point because half of that prediction was correct. So we both get half a point. Chad, we're moving on to yours. Chad, I fucking love your predictions. You swung for the fucking fences, my dude.
I don't remember what happened. Your first one.
The Game Boy Advance cartridge.
Nintendo Switch successor will be backwards compatible with physical Game Boy cartridges. They did not announce a Nintendo successor, so we don't know if that's true. But it didn't happen in 2024. Yeah. I did counter this, so I gave myself a point because I was like, that is not going to happen. You're insane. Next up, you said Microsoft closes or merges at least 2 first-party studios. That did happen. So, quote-unquote, congratulations on that one. Cozy countered that, so you don't get any points for that one. And the last one, which should have been a home run, but it didn't happen, PlayStation Portal enables Bluetooth audio. They said, fuck that. Buy our fucking headset. You're not doing it. Yeah. So, congratulations. You got one correct.
But they did do the update where you can now just stream games to the Portal, whether or not you're in the same domicile as it, right? So
I feel like coming.
You can do, as long as you're PlayStation Plus Premium subscriber, you can stream games directly from the cloud rather than having to remote play them from your console.
All that to say, the Bluetooth headphone headset, whatever, it didn't happen, but I can still see that happening in the future based on that update.
3 years from now, randomly, they'll just be like, here it is. And then last, these are my predictions. Normally, guys, I'm pretty good at predictions. Maybe I'm better than you guys still. Suicide Squad will be received better than the Avengers. Metacritic and overall word of mouth. Suicide Squad got a 60 on Metacritic. The Avengers got a 67, so I'm incorrect. Cozy, you agreed with me. Again, it's funny you guys brought up Suicide Squad earlier. Enjoy that game. I think it's better than Avengers, but that's me.
I'd forgotten that I agreed with you on that one. I would have, if you had not told me that, I would have still said that is a really spicy, good prediction to make. But
they're close, but not over the number. Yeah. Switch successor will release in 2024 and have a top 6 game of the year contender released on it. Switch 2 didn't come out, so I don't get any part of that. Correct. And my last prediction, at least, quote unquote, it's out now, launch is a big hit, and it will be on console. Chad agrees with me. By the way, Chad, disagree. maybe determine the winner of this.
Hold on, I missed the first part.
At least one It's Out Now launch is a big hit, and it will be on console. So like
Gotcha.
a Shadow Drop, like again, a Hi-Fi Rush would have been one of these, kind of an idea.
Gotcha.
So there were a couple Shadow Drops. I will tell you what they are that were on console. Well, actually, no, here's the thing. The only one that was on console was Alan Wake 2 DLC dropped the day that it got announced at Summer Game Fest. I don't think that necessarily. It is a Shadow Drop, but I don't know if that counts as like a big hit, right? Because it's DLC for a game we already know about. Content Warning, which is the game where you party up with your friends and do spooky shit, was a massive hit. PC only, though. So I'm giving myself half a point and Chad half a point because there was a Shadow Drop that was a big deal, but it was not on console, which I specified in the second part. It needs to be on console. With Chad agreeing, Cozy has 0.8 points. Adam has 2 full points, and Chad has 2.5 points.
Woo! Suck it, Joel!
So Chad got a 3 points after his 2, so that brings him up to 5. I get a 2.
Oh, that feels good.
Which to 5, and then oh, I'm sorry. So the award for 2024's best gamer on Respawn Aim Fire is Adam, Cozy, and Chad all at a tie with 5 points apiece. Joel in second place with 3, even though he only did 1 event. So actually, that's pretty good for Joel.
Well, that was his handicap. I had a handicap on the Game Awards prediction one, so
and you still tied for first. Are we actually arguing with the ref? You're down to 4 points. I'm sorry.
Motherfucker!
Adam and Cozy are tied for best Gamer of the Year award. That is my segment. Fair. Just going over stuff. It seems fair. I think that
it'll still be Joel. That's what counts.
Yeah, I think either going forward or whatever next. I think we do expect to do a Fantasy Critic and then a prediction episode probably next week or so. So we'll be thinking of more crazy shit. You know, maybe do the Game Boy thing again. You know, it could happen. We don't know.
No, we have seen every piece of that Switch 2 now in leaks, and I know there's no Game Boy cartridge slot on it.
Get crazy, bud. Have fun. But yeah, that's it. We all did good for last year. We're all good gamers, I guess. That's what the point of that was.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. Well, thanks, Adam, for that segment from Adam. And that brings us now to our closing segment for the week. Cozy's closing question of the week. Spelled not with all K's.
Yes, it is. Did I just remember that this is how we were closing the show until just a moment ago? And am I now opening up the Cozy's question of the week document? Maybe.
It's impossible to know.
I would say probably not, if you're pointing it out.
Am I staring at my Mozilla Firefox browser window, praying that it will just finally load? Hold on. I got to click it again. There we go. Okay. Nope. Hold on. Still loading.
Tell us more about Mozilla Firefox.
Amaratu? Is that that's the Okami dog?
Here we
Firefox?
go. It's loaded. No, we don't have any time to talk about Mozilla Firefox yet. All right. Let's see here. Pick a number. I'm going to give... Is Joel here? Well, guess Joel's not here. Guess he won't be able to participate.
He ran off on a plug twice. Yeah, he's gone.
Chad is one of the winners of Respawning Fire's Best Gamer of 2024 award. I will give you the opportunity to choose first. Pick a number between 1 and 24.
1 and 24. 2.
2. All right. Joel, I will give you also the opportunity to choose a number between 1 and 24.
7.
And 7 has been chosen. And last but not least, Adam, choose a number between 1 and 24.
1.
1. Wow. We're shooting some low pitches here, but who knows? Maybe one of them will be a home run. We will start with number 1. As a child, what's a toy or product that, despite being a knockoff, you enjoyed more than the thing it was knocking off?
I'm trying to think. What was
I think the one that's fresh in my memory is, and I don't know why this is the case, because it is objectively a worse controller, but the Dreamcast had the Dreamcast controller, had the slot for the VMU in it, and it kind of resembled like the slim original Xbox controller, not the Duke, but the slim version they put out. We had one of those, but we had 3 giant circular ones that actually did kind of resemble the Duke controller on the original Microsoft one. I didn't know this at the time. I thought they were just like an alternate Dreamcast one, but they were some third-party knockoff controller that I just saw yesterday or Sunday at at a game store, retro game store. And I loved that thing. Maybe just because it was a different color and the regular Dreamcast one we had was white and boring. But yeah, I was all about that thing.
I'm trying to think. I liked Legos as a kid, but fucking Mega Bloks are garbage, so that's not a real answer. I don't know, Joel. Do you have any ideas at all?
Beetleborgs. I
Beetleborgs
fucking
great.
loved Beetleborgs.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Knockoff Power Rangers. Power Rangers.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. As a kid, I would never know it was a knockoff, but as a little kid, I had people would like give me cards, like sports cards and shit. Like, oh, these are cool, these are fun, not knowing. As an adult, being like, those are worth absolutely nothing. Those are literally not worth the paper that they're printed on. So I guess that's quote unquote knockoff, but when you're 7, you don't fucking know or care.
This is actually, I was going to initially jump right to 2 after this one, but I think that 7 actually is a better follow-up question. I will read it as I wrote it when I wrote it on the page. And by wrote it on the page, I mean typed it on the page, because I didn't actually physically write it on the page. As the years pass, the more I regret throwing away the canisters that the old school Bionicles came packaged inside of. This is actually true. This is not me trying to be artistic and flowery in my prose. Is there a particular packaging for a toy from your childhood, or any product in general, that you regret throwing away?
All the boxes to all the games, because anything like in box nowadays is worth so much more than just the loose cartridge itself.
Oh, you just got the cartridges loose. Oh, cartridges, yeah, not CDs. You would keep cartridges loose. Yeah, that makes sense. Oh god,
that's one of those things where the first like console that I ever owned was a Super Nintendo that was a hand-me-down from my older cousin, and when he gave me the games, they were just like the cartridges themselves, because presumably he just threw away like the box for Donkey Kong Country, the box for Power Rangers, and like I would have loved to have had those boxes, but never saw them, and it's too bad, honestly.
So not toy related, but I remember as a younger kid getting into CDs and being like, oh, look at this cool CD. Everyone had that pouch that had like the double-sided CD and just like taking them all out of the cases, throwing the cases away and keeping that. So it's not a game toy related, but not keeping any of those original artworks or CD cases for those CDs, being like, they're in my little fucking Trapper Keeper. Or it's not called a Trapper Keeper, but that other thing. Yeah.
On the opposite side of that argument, I think I've told this on the podcast before. I had a ton of PS1 games in like my late high school and college career. And I was like, oh, I'm going to put all of these games on a little CD spindle, like a CDR spindle that you had for rewritable CDs. So that way I can like not have to carry all the cases. Now I don't know where that spindle is. I've searched up and down in my parents' house. It's gone. All the games are gone, but I have all the jewel cases still in a file cabinet.
Just the cases though? God, that's funny.
Which at this game store the other day that I was at, Diablo on PS1 is one of the games that I had, and that's sold for $100 at that game store. And I'm like, I have the case for it.
Somebody bought those games at a yard sale for like $10. All on
$10 for the whole stack. Yeah, absolutely.
And with that, we've arrived at the final question of the night. It is, what major once-in-a-lifetime world event are you most looking forward to experiencing, either in the near or far off future? And just a little bit of context, when I originally wrote this question, the total eclipse of my heart, but rather the total eclipse had just happened back in, that was like mid-2024. I don't remember at all when I originally wrote these questions. Yeah. And so I was basically, the original way that I phrased the question was, with the eclipse having just happened, what major event are you looking to experiencing?
How long before the sun explodes? I'm looking forward to that one. No, I don't know. Like, what is a fun thing that's going to happen? You know what I'm saying? I'm just thinking of like events. I'm not even thinking of like natural shit.
Well, the U.S. will implode here shortly.
Nah, we'll be fine. Keep on trucking. You know what I'm saying?
Shrek is going to die of old age. That'll eventually happen.
You know what'll be fun? It's nothing to do with nature. There will be some event that is going to be extremely based in nostalgia, but I will have the money for it and be like, I'm going to go on. So thinking of like
WrestleMania, like
Yeah,
something
like-
like of that caliber.
they just had a super huge one, like the last one, because it was like 40 years of WrestleMania, or like whatever it was. It was a big deal. But I can imagine like Super Bowl 100, and it's the Colts versus the Bears. I'm like, I'll fucking be there for that because I won't have seen a Super Bowl in 70 years. So it'll be great. But a big event. Star Wars comes back now. See, this is like at a point, if you were a kid in the 70s and then Star Wars came back, like that was a big fucking deal. So I'm trying to think something from my childhood comes back, and I'm like, oh shit, and I get to go there in person, or I don't fucking know. Zendaya's fucking wedding to Tom Holland. I want to be there for that.
Ooh.
They just got engaged.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of anything cozy. I don't care about nature, so.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? What do you think the halftime show is going to be at Super Bowl 100?
Some kid who's not even born yet.
It's going to be a hologram.
Ooh, I'll take that.
It's not even going to be music anymore. Like, no one's performing. It's just going to be like kids playing with slime.
No, it's going to be Ninja playing Fortnite on a stage.
That's
Yeah,
all it is.
Ninja's
Maybe
corpse
that's-
playing Fortnite.
I was going to say maybe that's how they bring back Double Dare. Hey guys, once in a lifetime, we're bringing back Double Dare at Super
Oh,
Bowl
dude, I'd
100.
go back. I'd go to Double Dare. Put me on Shadows of the Hidden Temple. I will fuck
Hell
it
yeah.
up.
And that's it for Cozy's question of the week.
Woo! Great questions. That wraps up Cozy's Question of the Week, and that wraps up episode 380 of Respawn Aim Fire. Thanks, everyone, for joining us in this new year. Reminders, go look on Patreon for your cool shit, like early access to the RAF Cake episode. Go to Monster Hunter movie commentary on YouTube. If you just go to YouTube and search Monster Hunter movie commentary, I'm sure we're the only people that have ever done a commentary to that movie, so you can go listen to that. And then, again, Game of the Year. If you're with all those late-ass people doing Game of the Year episodes, and you're like, I wonder what Respawn Aim Fires was. Surprise, we did ours weeks ago. Go check it out with Jerica and Brian and Chris. Play Celeste 64.
Celeste
Fragments
64,
of the
yes.
Mountain. Play that. Write us your thoughts. Be on the show if you want to. If you're playing that game and you're just like, I love this so much, I want to be with those boys on the show, on the television, then you can do that, and we'll gladly entertain your presence while you talk to us about things. Or we'll probably forget to read your email if you write it in. Actually, no, we're better now. We have better people here than I was alone with Holden, so you all won't forget to read Alex's emails like I did.
I forgot about
There was
that.
one time where like you wrote in an email for a game and we forgot to read it, and then the next month we're like, fuck, this is completely unrelated, but I feel obliged to read his email. So we read your review of the previous month's barf game on that month's.
It was probably
episode.
Super Metroid. It was Super Metroid, and it was something else or something. That's probably
I
what
have
it
no
was.
clue what it was, but
Yeah.
yep.
Cozy says
So yeah, go
probably,
do
but
that.
he's been holding a vengeance on you this whole time.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't know. It was
I'd honestly-
probably
That was
Super Metroid.
that was the root of all of the like all the games that he's like fucked me over in. Like
No.
that was the root of all of it.
I was definitely a little upset in the moment, but I'd completely forgotten about that up until now. It's all water under the bridge.
That's it. That's it, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, here's our usual sign off. Boopy 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 boop sex.
Blip, 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 blip.